Hello, Maverick fans. Welcome to another edition of the Mavpuckcast. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. John and I are back from the desert, ready to talk about some pretty exciting hockey from the weekend. John, how are you feeling right now?
I went to bed at 10 o'clock last night. I woke up at 11 this morning. I was exhausted from that trip. But first up, we'd like to thank our founding members of Mavpuckcast and Mavpuck.com this season. As I'm talking, you're seeing a scroll of all the fans who signed up at $12 per year to support our efforts at Mavpuck.com. This was a promo that ran from April 1st through October 1st of this year. So thank you to the founding members of Mavpuck.com. You'll also see a scroll of their names at the end of each episode of the Mavpuckcast. And if you'd like to support Mavpuck.com and the Mavpuckcast, visit Mavpuck.com/donate. But Jason, we've got to talk about that icebreaker. UNO's first regular season action of the season. We took on UMass in the first game of the icebreaker tournament at Orleans Arena on October 11th. UMass is a strong program out of Hockey East, Jason.
Yeah, they're returning a pretty good group there, and Hockey East schools preparing to play the likes of Boston and Boston College. They're going to be ready to go, just like NCHC teams. So two teams evenly matched, play very similar styles, and going in with the preseason polls were pretty close to each other. So you knew we were in for a dogfight and in for a close game, and an overtime game is kind of exactly what I expected.
First period Friday night, 18:15 into the first period. UMass forward Lucas Mercury puts the Minutemen up 1-0. It was a power play goal, second effort off of a rebound in front of the crease. Mercury is a Carolina draft pick, so 1-0 UMass after that first period. Good close game for UNO. Second period on Friday night, UMass held the lead until late in the second. 17:45 into the second, UNO Zach Erdahl ties it up for UNO 1-1. Gavin set that up in the high slot. There was a lot of work in the zone before that by junior forward Tyler Rollwagon, who I'm hopeful is going to have a big season. So it was tied up 1-1 after the second period. Jason, what did you think of UNO's play up until that point, and what did you think of their prospects going into that third period?
I think it was good. We talked about in the last episode a lot of like just the question marks going into the preseason game and stuff. And a lot of that had to do with the chemistry and who was going to gel well together and all of that. And so to kind of see some new lines, see coach trying to find some of that chemistry. I think that was a lot of our struggles in the first period was just, these are guys that probably haven't, maybe haven't played together, maybe haven't played a lot together, certainly haven't played meaningful hockey together. And so there's just a feeling out a period of time and stuff there. And so to come away level going into the third, I liked our chances. I liked the momentum that we had getting out of the second period. And I was really looking for hopefully an early goal in the third to kind of give us some breathing room. But this game was the storyline was score in the last like 4 minutes, and that was it.
Absolutely right. I'm really glad we got that warm-up exhibition against Wisconsin going into this icebreaker tournament. I really think that prepared the players and prepared the coaches. And as you alluded to, 14 newcomers this season. There's going to be some growing pains early on, and we're fully prepared for that. As you mentioned, it was knotted through most of the third period. 16:56 into the third, UNO's Jacob Slipek puts UNO up 2-1. There were some sweet moves by Slipek on that goal. You and I are excited about him early on in this season. We're hoping for big things out of Slipek.
Yeah, I put him pretty high in my way too early to predict line chart there, and it's nice to see him kind of taking some confidence to the ice, I think, this year. And the move that he makes out of the corner to shake the defender I just think that's kind of what we need to see from him. We need to see him willing to take some risks and play that kind of game. If he can continue to do that, no matter what line he's on, I think that will bode well for us. And he's not on the line I expected him to be on, but he's kind of driving the line that he's on, and so that's really going to balance out UNO's scoring if you can find some chemistry with someone else on that line.
Absolutely right. And we were hoping UNO would hold on for the 2-1 win, but 18:34 into the third period. UMass sophomore forward Adar Sunyev, very talented forward for the Minutemen, tied it up for UMass. Sunyev has 5 goals and 1 assist in 3 games this season. So he's going to be a big time player for UMass when they get into that Hockey East grind.
That was just a funky play too.
Yep.
The defenseman takes a shot, breaks his stick. And when I say break his stick, I mean the shooting end of it was like in the rafters, it seemed like. And then it was just the puck just slides over to Suniev, and good for him just being ready to shoot on something like that. You kind of wonder if some of our guys might have gotten distracted by the flying stick, but kind of a heartbreak there because you kind of felt like UNO might be able to kind of hold them off, and instead we go to overtime.
It's always harrowing watching those 3-on-3 overtime periods. I mentioned Adar Sunya for UMass. He turned the puck over in their offensive zone. Erdahl drives the puck into UNO's offensive zone and gets the game-winning goal. The Mavs win 3-2 in overtime to win the first game of the Icebreaker tournament. What did you think of Erdahl's goal, and what did you think overall of UNO's performance?
Super exciting, good individual effort. Playing that 3-on-3, it's a lot about puck possession. Our guys, our system is a fairly tight checking system. So I think that bodes well for us, and that's kind of where Zach got. He was close enough in that just a little bit of fumble of a puck, and he could poke it out to the neutral zone, and then had the speed to carry it all the way in. And then the wherewithal to stick with it. His first shot goes off the goalie's pads. He finds the second one, puts that in the back of the net. Some guys will just be flybys on that stuff. They'll take that first shot and they'll be in the corner, with no chance of the rebound. And 3-on-3, you're not going to have, a low support coming back over to help you out. So, good on him to kind of stick with his shot all the way through until the whistle. And the whistle was the end of the game. So that was fun. Super exciting sitting with all the fans in the stands and seeing that happen.
Absolutely right. Erdahl picking up where he left off last season. So the second game of the Icebreaker, Minnesota defeated Air Force. So a rematch for UNO of last season's NCAA regional in Sioux Falls, which was a heartbreaking loss for Mav fans. First period Saturday night, was a rough start for UNO. The Mavs were outshot 21-6 during that first period. And 14:26 into the first, Minnesota's Mason Nevers puts the Gophers up 1-0. It was 1-0 after one. Jason, what did you think of UNO's prospects at that point?
I didn't like our odds. Minnesota's a good team. We saw them just trounce Air Force the night before, and so you knew that they were going to be good. I kind of looked at it saying, like, I don't know that we can sustain this. The prospect of 60 shots on goal isn't a successful one typically for most teams. So you really were looking for UNO to kind of come back and push back some and get some momentum in the second. They were starting to kind of connect and find things towards the end of that first period. So really hoping that would carry through into the next period. But to be honest with you, it really didn't. Like this was the name of this game was Minnesota controls and Minnesota shoots.
Absolutely. As you mentioned, the shooting woes continued for UNO. But 13:09 into that second period, UNO's Sam Stang, who transferred in from Wisconsin, ties it up for the Mavs. It was a shorthanded goal, 2-on-1 opportunity. Game was tied 1-1 after 2, Jason.
Yeah, good heads up play there by Sam to poke that puck, get to the neutral zone. I don't know what the defender for Minnesota was thinking that he gave up on that, but when he let Sam kind of get loose, it was basically a 2-on-1 in, and then Sam with a good job of looking off that defender coming over late to his side, and then just firing that shot in, and that's kind of what you think of like. Now we're in just a one goal game. We're a team that we should be behind by 3 goals right now, or more, and we're sitting here tied. That's, a huge, huge place for UNO to be in at that point in time. And you're just, the guys had to be thinking like just one more shot, one opportunity, and we could get out of here with a win against a top five team.
Boy, Simon Lacosi had some big heroics in nets during the period. At the 12:59 mark in the period, Simon had a fantastic glove save on a Jimmy Snuggerud shot. It was a harrowing third period, Jason.
Yeah, it was nice. Almost a windmill glove save on that was pretty impressive by the goaltender.
So we go to that 3-on-3 overtime again. I don't know if all of our games are going to go to the 3-on-3 overtime, Jason. We had the most overtime games in the NCAA last season, and we went 7-1 in those games. So
Kind of a double-edged sword, right? Like it's good that the team's fighting back and getting to these evened up extra hockey kinds of things. Like you like that they're not losing in regulation or something, but it's like how successful can we continue to be at these?
absolutely right. 54 seconds into OT. UNO D-man Jacob Gavin nets the game-winning goal. It was a smooth transition goal set up by forward Tanner Ludke, who we're hoping to see get going this season. The Mavs win 2-1. This is UNO's third appearance in the Icebreaker tournament. We've won 2 of them now, and we get a little revenge against Minnesota for that NCAA regional loss up in Sioux Falls last season. Jason, what are your final thoughts on the game? We've talked a little bit about the Mavs potentially having to steal some games early on this season with all of the newcomers we have on the roster. So what'd you think?
Yeah, I think you said it right there. That's the thing. This early in the season, the two keys to being successful at the end of the year is going to be their ability to beat teams that they should beat. We've talked about that in the past. You have to beat these teams, whether that's in conference or out of conference that you're supposed to beat. And then find a way to steal some of these games against teams that are, on a level playing field or, in Minnesota's case, higher ranked than us, while you're trying to develop that chemistry. I think that's going to go a long way in developing chemistry. You're going to see a lot of guys start to kind of come together. I hope that the distance traveled, this kind of long, this isn't a drive to Augustana. This isn't a, road trip out to Colorado kind of thing. Like, or in the past, we've done the Mankato trip, right? Like this is a long trip. The guys spent a lot of time together. Hopefully they start to find some common elements, gel as a group. And, that's going to help kind of, speed up the creation of that chemistry, over the next few months and get us ready for NCHC play at the start of the next year.
Simon Lacosi and Zach Erdahl were named to the all-tournament team. Impressive performances by both of them. This weekend. So UNO starts the season 2-0. We moved up to number 12 in the USCHO.com poll. And Jacob Gavin was named the NCHC Defenseman of the Week. And Simon Lacosi is the NCHC Goaltender of the Week, which we don't normally get to throw these in an episode of the Mavpuckcast, Jason, because we're recording on Sunday and that stuff doesn't come out till Monday. But because we were on the road, we get to throw those little stats in. So pretty impressive start to the season and a great way to kind of gut out a win against a good team like Minnesota. So, Jason, I got to ask you, who did you like as your player of the week in the Icebreaker tournament? I think that there is an obvious pick, player pick here. Yeah.
I think just for the sake of some interest here, we'll just get the obvious one out of the way and say, like, it's not one of our picks. It's just duh, right? Like, it's got to be Simon. that performance against Minnesota alone would have been enough, but he also was, pretty impressive against UMass. He made, honestly, I think probably some harder saves against UMass than he made against Minnesota. A lot of the stuff, Omaha did a good job of keeping a lot of the shots in low danger opportunity areas. There was a lot of low shots from down around the extended goal line. There were a lot of point shots from outside the dots. And, for goaltenders, those things are fairly easy. It's an easy angle to cover, or you've got a lot of time to see the puck coming in. They did a good job of clearing out some of that traffic so Simon can see everything. And so, oddly enough, he makes more saves in Minnesota, but I think, his more impressive effort for me was against UMass. Just the pressure of the situation and everything. So, but yeah, I think we have to get him off the board just because it was such an impressive effort this weekend. Beyond that, I've got a couple people that I think need to get called out. So I'll be curious if you take any of these guys, but I'm going to go with Jacob Gavin. I thought that his play against UMass was like he was on my list right at that game, just with the multiple assists. And his decision making was quicker this year than I've seen him make the last year. And so I'm really looking forward to what he will do for the Mavs this year.
Yes, Jason didn't want to make it easy on me. Normally, I let him pick first, so I was going to let Jason go with a more creative pick, and then I was just going to roll in there and pick Simon and rest my brain thinking about this. On Simon, he had a .963 save percentage on the weekend and a 1.45 goals against average. So terrific player, terrific personality, terrific attitude on the team. One of the best goaltenders to play for UNO. In our program's relatively short history. And I completely agree with you on Jacob Gavin had 1 goal and 2 assists on the weekend. He also had 2 blocked shots. So we've been impressed with him throughout his career. And I think he's going to have a really good junior campaign. I've got to go with senior forward Zach Erdahl, had 2 goals on the weekend. He also had 3 blocked shots. Zach is a big time player. He's a clutch player for UNO. Really glad he transferred in last season from Wisconsin. There were a number of good performances for UNO this weekend, Jason.
There was a lot of guys that we could be naming here. Sam Stang is one that jumped out to me too, as the other guy that I was really kind of hem-hawing about him or Gavin. And it's not that he scores that short-handed goal so much as it is just every time he was on the ice, he was noticeable. He was, making a play, doing something, selling out for a block. He was, tying guys up. He got some pretty good hits in against UMass. I know you've said that coaches talked about him being kind of an all situation player, and he really, really proved that this weekend.
Absolutely right. And yes, when we were at the UNO Alumni Association's Gold Circle luncheon before the season, he did mention that Sam Stang is one of those every game type of players, which I'm sure Coach Gabinet is regretting that he mentioned that in front of me. I did not ask about it. So I just want that out there. But he definitely is. He is one of those, as I refer to them, those meat and potatoes hockey players. So I think he's going to have a really good outing for UNO this season. He was one of those players who kind of got caught up in the coaching transition out in Wisconsin when Mike Hastings came in, and he was injured last season. So expecting big things out of them, but a great series for UNO at the Icebreaker tournament. But we've got to turn to our things you missed in Las Vegas. And Jason, I know they say that, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. But before we get to the things we did personally, one of the things you missed if you weren't in Vegas, there was a team send-off at the Orleans Casino before the Friday game of the Icebreaker. Now, Jason, you and I participated on road trips in a number of these team send-offs. I don't know how you felt about this one. It was early in the season, so it was kind of a subdued team send-off.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't like the ones we've attended before where, it was really this I don't know, like pre-planned kind of thing. Like it just seemed like it was a little bit thrown together. I'm curious what some of the players thought about it. Um, you know, Minnesota had a decent following there, but I didn't see really their fans, setting up for anything. So yeah, I'm curious what the team thinks of it. But like you said before, with 14 new players here, they may not be used to the attitude of Maverick hockey fans, let's say.
Well, unfortunately, we didn't win that exhibition with Wisconsin. I wish that we had so they could have experienced the post game lobby celebration that we do when we win, because I think that'll kind of break the ice with the players a little bit. There was also a UNO alumni Mavs on the Move reception after the Friday game. And what was really nice about this tournament was you could get your hand stamped, leave and go to the reception, and then come back in. In other instances where we've been at a 2 game format tournament, we haven't gotten to leave and come back in. So if you're leaving for the evening. Bridget and I went to that. You guys did not. I should have communicated with you guys better and had you sign up for that, because I know you've gone, and I know your parents and your in-laws have gone to that in the past. We got to hear from UNO Chancellor Joanne Lee and Omaha AD Adrian Dowell. Joanne Lee also performed an impromptu graduation ceremony for UNO grad named Scott Ashby, who is a 2-time UNO grad, actually. He was never able to go through a graduation ceremony at UNO because he's in the military and he was on deployment. So that was an interesting thing that you missed in Las Vegas, Jason.
I'm sorry I missed it. It would have been fun. I stuck around and watched the opening part of Air Force in Minnesota, and so I at least got to watch hockey since I didn't get to go to that.
It was a nice event. They had some nice hors d'oeuvres at the event, and obviously a number of opportunities to do some interesting things in and around Las Vegas, in conjunction with traveling in for the Icebreaker tournament. What were some of the interesting things that your daughter Lexi, your in-laws, Jolene's parents, and your mom, who came down from the Denver area to enjoy the tournament? What were some of the things that you guys enjoyed away from the games? We did not end up hooking up with you guys before the games, so that was a little unusual because normally we're doing stuff
I
together.
say
But
normally we're doing so much stuff together. It's different, but yeah,
it
it really was a family event for us this time, and so um, I don't know. There was a lot of interesting things. Most of it was just getting Lexi to experience what Vegas is about. So, we walked the strip during the day before the games, and then went back right after the game. Drove down there and walked the strip at night so that she can kind of get a feel for what it's like at the 2 times, and got to see the Bellagio fountains, which is always a really cool thing to go see. Um, we went to that Omega Mart, the Meow Wolf Interactive Art Museum, and experienced that. So that was a pretty cool thing to go see.
I should mention that you got to go watch the Las Vegas Golden Knights play on Sunday.
I did. I got to check it off my list. I'm trying to get to all the NHL arenas, see the teams play, and so yeah, that was I'm here. Check this one off the list. That way, if I don't get back, don't have to worry about scrambling out there just to see a hockey game. So
Nice facility, good
uh,
atmosphere.
definitely, yeah, it's quite a show, I will say, from a production, seeing quite a few NHL games. Not as loud as I expected, but definitely put on a good show. There's a lot of theme stuff that they do, which I appreciate, and yeah, and they won, so that's obviously always an exciting thing when the home team wins. When it's not my team, I'm not a huge follower of it, so I just like when the home team wins if I'm going, and I don't care who wins. So um, that was fun. Mom and Lexi were Anaheim fans for one night, so they were cheering on the Ducks. Uh, so unfortunately, they lost. Their team lost at least, but yeah.
We walked around the Vegas Strip multiple times. Our hotel We ended up staying near the Las Vegas Convention Center. Our hotel was right across the street from one of the monorail stations. So Bridget and I actually bought a couple of 24-hour monorail passes. And so that was the way we kind of maneuvered around Las Vegas. Was really nice because you could kind of see some of the sights from up above while you were moving around on the monorail. And it saved us having to walk around in that exhausting near 100-degree heat because it was overwhelming. It was like walking around in an oven while we were down there. And I'd also like to thank Bill Pickett, who's the director of UNO Spirit, Tradition, and Special Events, and the UNO Maverick Maniacs. Bill took a group of the Maverick Maniacs down for the Icebreaker tournament, and he invited Bridget and I to go on the High Roller Observation Wheel, which is the largest observation wheel in North America. It goes up 550 feet. That was the most touristy thing that we ended up doing, Jason. So it was really nice of them to include us in that. Vegas is not my city. It's not my vibe. As I've told you guys many times, I cannot stand casinos, and I certainly cannot stand the cigarette smoke that's in casinos. So this was a hard weekend for us to get into, and we didn't get to do some of the kind of scenic touristy things that you guys ended up doing outside of Las Vegas proper.
Next time, if there is a next time. But I agree with you. It's not really my scene either. There's just I'm not a big fan of the heat. I'm a cold weather guy, so um, yeah, it's always fun to see. It's good to go, but it's not something that I'm dying to do again next year type of thing.
Yeah, and I will tell you, a future Frozen 4 site is going to be in Las Vegas. So who knows? We may find ourselves there again, Jason. And before we start talking about Frozen 4s and things of that nature, we've got to talk about our next series. It's at home, our first regular season action at Baxter Arena upcoming. Augustana will be traveling into Omaha for a weekend series on October 18th and 19th. Both games start at 7:07 p.m. Central Time. Augustana is coming off a split against Long Island last week. They won 4-0 on Friday against the Sharks, and they lost 3-2 on Saturday against the Sharks. They started the season with an exhibition win against North Dakota. They beat the Fighting Hawks 4-1. The head coach of Augustana is Garrett Raboyne. Raboyne has a 13-19-4 head coaching record. And I should also mention that their assistant coach, Chad Demers, recently lost a battle with cancer. And, UNO having lost Paul Gerard to cancer during the season a couple years ago, I think all of us as fans know how tough that is on a team. Teams are families, and it's a tough thing to deal with.
We know all too well how tough a situation that is. So, thinking of them having to deal with that, and if they can stay a 500 club, I think they're going to be pretty happy with their season this year. This certainly isn't a pushover game. They showed what they can do against North Dakota in that exhibition, and I know North Dakota is just saying it's an exhibition, but it's still meaningful hockey. It's still, a team that built some confidence, I think, coming out of that. And so UNO needs to be ready to counteract that. I think this year will help them a lot. Being in the CCHA, playing conference games, playing some of that stuff, I think it'll help build the fan base. I think it'll help get the team together, and they could be a threat in the future, and we'll just have to see where they go.
Some players to watch. For Augustana, senior forward Luke Mobley was second on the team in points last season. He has 2 goals this season. Sophomore forward Brett Meerman has 3 assists this season. And then on the blue line, I like sophomore Hayden Hennon. He has 6 block shots this season, and he had 53 block shots last season. That put him second on the team in block shots. He also had 4 goals and 10 assists last season. And then in net, sophomore goalie Josh Katai. He has a 1.54 goals against average and a .952 save percentage so far. So an eclectic mix that they have on this roster, Jason.
A team this young, you got to be looking for scoring from every line, every level. This is a do it by committee kind of team. If Josh Katai is the real thing in net, if especially like what is in 9.52 save percentage, I mean, that's if that keeps going, this is a team that's going to contend. So, UNO needs to get out, shoot early, get on top of them. Try to get in his kitchen, as they say. Just make life miserable. Try to get some early ones past them. Pedal the metal. A lot, honestly, a lot like what Minnesota did to us. Just hopefully we can put a few more in the back of the net.
Yeah, we can't bask too long in the glow of that icebreaker tournament win. The guys have got to get focused
Right.
and get ready to play 60 minutes both nights this upcoming weekend. Jason, I've got to ask you, what's your prediction for this series against Augustana? Do you think we'll sweep? Do you think we'll get swept? Do you think we'll split? What do you think's going to happen against Augustana coming to town this weekend?
I think we'll beat them both nights. I think it's just the hype of winning the icebreaker, being back at home, having a full arena, the 14 new players experiencing everything that is Baxter Arena when it's real meaningful hockey. I think that'll really help solidify things for the Mavs. Both being at home, I think, is just it tilts it in our favor. But I'm not confident. Like there's still a lot of question marks about, can we consistently score goals? There's some guys I'd like to see get on the score sheet. Tanner Lucky, I'd like to see him get a couple goals this weekend. Really start showcasing his talent that we know is there, and give him some confidence going into some harder matchups. So hopefully we'll see. I think, for me I'm curious to see what kind of lines we get. I'm curious to see if he tinkers, if coach tinkers with anything like that. I'm curious if Simon gets both games, if this is a time to put in Radler or not. I guess we'll see. But those are the things I'm looking forward to seeing, at least in the two games against Augustana.
Absolutely right. Maybe the better question instead of how do you think UNO will do this weekend would have been, do you think both games will go to overtime this weekend? Because so far, every game we've played in has gone to that 3-on-3 overtime period. We'll just have to see. Like you, I agree. UNO will sweep Augustana this upcoming weekend. Well, they better sweep Augustana this upcoming weekend. I'll tell you what. And I've got some of the same thoughts you do. I'm really looking to see how these line combinations start to kind of gel and solidify. And I'm also looking for some increased offensive production out of Tanner Ludke, our top offensive star on the team last season. And then two of the guys that we've talked about a lot so far this season on the Mavpuckcast, the two transfers from Alaska, Harrison Israels and Brady Risk, looking for both of those players to get going. So it should be exciting to get back to regular season hockey at Baxter Arena. Should be a lot of fun. UNO has been running ticket deals this week, so keep an eye out. If you don't have season tickets like Jason and I do, and you want to come to the game, you might have the opportunity to get a little bit of a discount on that. If you can't come out to the games, you can certainly listen to the games on 1290 Coil in Omaha. Mike Valancourt and Terry Leahy will have the call. And if you're outside of radio range or you're just not a radio person, you can listen to those games on the Varsity Network app. And of course, you can watch both games on NCHC TV. Jason, final thoughts going into this Augustana series.
One thing I will say, I hope that UNO does something to bringing back the icebreaker tournament trophy. I think it's great the fans that went, but I think it would be nice to do something, showcase the trophy or something prior to puck drop or something for the fans that weren't able to go. Because I know a lot of people, with it being on Big Ten Plus and the app didn't have a subscription, weren't able to watch. And so, yeah, I think that would be awesome if they did something.
I like that idea, Jason. Very good. And for all the updates this weekend, be sure to follow Mavpuck on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can find links to all of our social channels at mavpuck.com, as well as back episodes of this podcast. But till next time, Jason, go Mavs.
Go Mavs.